Christmas Day, I join other Kenyans in being part of the celebration. The country has been discussing William Ruto's first 100 days. It has become a tradition in this country, borrowed from elsewhere and done elsewhere too, to make an assessment of the successes and failures of a first-time president. It is a tradition that was set by Mwai Kibaki when he won the elections of 2002. It is a tradition I think we are likely to keep for the future. People assess the president on the basis of what the country would need at that particular time, and also on the basis of what they have said during the campaigns. So today we look at what William Ruto promised vis-a-vis what he has been able to deliver. There are those who argue 100 days are too short. They could be having a point. However, Waswahili wanasema siku njema huonekana asubuhi, na kwamba dalili ya mvua ni mawingu. Indeed, many of the presidents, kings, emperors, prime ministers, chiefs who have led their countries to great successes, those who have come with impact, have shown that they would be serious from day one. It is said, I think narrated by Chinua Achebe in The Trouble with Nigeria, that when General Mohammed Mutara or somebody like that took over power in Nigeria, because of his reputation of being ruthless, traffic in Lagos was flowing without anybody supervising. Indeed, if you were to do something as a new president, prime minister, king, you must do it from the word go, because then you send the signal. You tell the country it's not going to be business as usual. So 100 days are not short. Let's judge and let's look at what, without necessarily judging badly, what Ruto has been able to deliver. First, before we look at what he has been able to deliver, let's look at whether the administration would give anybody hope within these first 100 days that the days ahead are going to be good for this country. The honest answer is, looking at what has happened so far, I can only see gloom, and I fear I may not be the only one. First, in order for an administration to give hope, especially in a situation that is as bad as ours, the leader must show seriousness that indicates he has a vision. I have no doubt that William Samoei Ruto could have a vision, but the seriousness is lacking. I say that because I see an administration led by a president out to engage in what I call sideshows, as opposed to the main issues. To the extent some people see the administration as being vengeful, out to revenge, the administration as not even being sure they are in power. Because the utterances of the administration, the key leaders of, especially the deputy president, will leave one thinking that we are still in an election, that they have not yet assumed power. Because when you assume power, you must take care of the pain factor, so that you don't look behind when they say, Mr. President, you know it is you. Unakalia hiyo kiti pap inakuwa ni yako. That's the first problem. The second problem that indicates lack of seriousness to address the challenges that face this country is the government itself, formation of government. I've said vision of the leader, seriousness of the leader, an indication of that seriousness by way of what government they put in place. Especially when times are hard and challenging. Go to history. When things are tough, the prince or the king goes to look for Bismarck, Otto von Bismarck. Government. The president has formed a government that has a number of problems. First and foremost, he has given Kenyans men and women of very questionable pasts, of questionable reputations, some of them facing criminal charges which have been hurriedly withdrawn. That doesn't inspire confidence. That doesn't indicate seriousness. Aside from the corrupt record, criminal record, and other integrity issues, the cabinet is hardly anybody in that cabinet who inspires confidence in terms of ability. One will be tempted to describe the cabinet as inept even before they operate. That's hardly seriousness. Thirdly, on that cabinet, that does not create hope in the people of Kenya is the way the cabinet is selected on the basis of our ethnic composition. When you have 13 principal secretaries from the Kalenjin community, for example, another 13 from the Gema community, the Kikuyu community, and 1 or 2 from the Luo community, 1 or 2 from the Luya, you cannot inspire confidence in the country. Because between the Kalenjin and the Kikuyu, you hardly have 30% of the population. It's a fact. So how do you show your commitment to deliver the country, the seriousness to deliver the country, to create hope among the people of this country, when cabinet is formed of corrupt people, people of questionable pasts, people of low integrity, people of low abilities, and majorly, perhaps, not representing the face of this country? That sets off the government on a wrong trajectory. At a time, the country faces challenges that calls for the president to deliver the country by appointing the best this country can afford. We are at a time in our history when we must now recognize the need for looking for the best men and women this country can afford and produce for every assignment we have. Otherwise, the ship is going to sink. That's the cabinet. The politics. This country is hurting. I've said it repeatedly. The country is divided badly. 7 million people voted for the president. 7 million or thereabout for Raila Odinga, the opposition chief. Another 7 of the registered voters stayed away. You can see the president carrying a third of the population, of the voters. That's a country that is divided. And those are figures. That's not me talking. There are millions of Kenyans who believe the election was stolen. That's not me. There are many, many Kenyans who have never turned on their TV since William Ruto declared the president. People are hurting inside. In a country such as this, therefore, there is a need to do everything to bring the country together. What the president has done is hardly in that direction. First, in focusing on 2027, the president has been in a hurry to pacify the country by getting the opposition MPs and other leaders to his side, which is not really bad. That is politics. But remember, the country is hurting. That every move you make must be made with that in mind. You must bear in mind the country is divided and hurting. In the process of getting people from the opposition to your side, you add salt to injury. You go to Luo Nyanza, for example, and they work with the worst from that place. The people who constantly remind the Luo, for example, that our election was stolen. That's hardly me speaking. Those are just facts. And the pronouncement from the administration in talking in a derogatory manner, in very bad terms. English sometimes a problem to pronounce. In very bad terms about the opposition. As if the election was going on. As if the election was not over. That is hardly the way to heal a hurting nation, a divided nation. So the software is already missing, you can see. So if you are to score the first 100 days, you look at the software before you turn to the hardware. The software has challenges. The administration does not seem to understand the importance of the software. That a country divided like ours, a country hurting like ours, you need to go out of your way to deal with the software. Play the politics right. Because, God forbid, supposing Raila pours the masses to the streets in such a divided country, I've always called upon the leadership of this country to know that we are in the 21st century. And in the 21st century, there is very little you can do if people get annoyed and go to the streets. Little. And we have seen it elsewhere. God forbid. We don't want that to happen here. And I've said it repeatedly. So you play the software well. You play the politics well. So that in the event there are small things here and there, they are contained within what is normal. Now to the hardware as I finish. The promises the president made, top on the list, lowering the cost of living, that has not been done. The president has asked for 1 year instead of 100 days. Fine. But when I look at the really challenges facing this country, I don't think they can wait. This is not a country that can wait 1 year for the prices of unga to go down. I don't want to repeat that I love this country. Said it too many times. We cannot allow this country for another 1 year to be in a state that anything happening could get out of control. And therefore you cannot ask for a year to lower the price of fuel, to lower the price of unga. And therein is another problem. That this administration, from my own assessment, is being directed from elsewhere. There is an invisible hand. I don't support subsidies, but if we gave subsidies to make unga affordable, we will not be the first country doing it. And we need to do it. Because unga can cause us a problem in this country. It cannot wait. Why is it not waiting? I have a feeling, and from my assessment that could be right, that we are doing IMF bidding, World Bank, IMF bidding. They have never meant any good to any country. They have never done anything that has succeeded in any country. They plunge you deeper and deeper into debt. We said we shall not take debts. Indeed, about 60% of our revenue that we collect goes to repay debts. There is no way we could be going for other debts. When this administration promised never to take a shilling, and now they are in a hurry, that shows another hand, an invisible hand pushing us. The GMO being pushed to us, importation of maize, whether GMO or not, that will frustrate the farmers, is another push from outside. I can go on and on because it's going to be hurting, including retrenchments and cost cutting, all perhaps because of foreign influence. And in a country that is hurting, I must repeat, in a country that is divided, we need to move cautiously. And therefore, in these first 100 days, my prayer is that the president has learned that things are not moving right, that he needs to engage another gear, that the gear so far engaged seems to be taking this country not in the right direction. I wish I'm wrong, and I pray that I'm wrong. But when I look ahead, I'm a little worried. I'm apprehensive. I don't see much hope. I fear the worst could be coming. We can avert this by playing our politics right, by not being antagonistic, by avoiding moves that appear to present us as revenging and vengeful, by being mindful of the welfare of the common man. Because even that fuel can go down by government removing certain levies. And yet I hear, instead of that, government is introducing measures to make life more painful. NHIF, I hear the rates will go high. School fees will go high. Fuel. If you keep fuel where it is, all you need is for the dollar to play around a bit and you can't control it. All you need is for international crude oil prices to go up kidogo per barrel, and the oil will be at 250. Petrol. I therefore beseech the president first to bring Kenyans on his side, so that when these bad times come, because indeed they will come, they are global, they are not even Kenyan. When these hard times hit us, harder than they have hit so far, Kenyans are with you. They are not divided. They are not hurting. And therefore they can tighten their belts, knowing we will need to sacrifice. We will need to drop certain priorities together with our president, because our president was there for us when we were suffering. If you leave the people to suffer from the impossible fuel prices that have ramifications elsewhere, and from the price of essential commodities including unga, when you need them when times are bad, they will not be there for you, Mr. President. And therefore I urge the president that use your 100 days to come to terms with the reality that the administration has not been inspiring. It has performed badly. It has not created hope in the people of this country. There is need to create that hope, because minus hope, we could be heading to very dangerous territories. We pray for the president. We wish him the best during these festivities. We hope he starts the new year with the realization that this country is hurting. This country is divided. There is need to reduce the hurt, the pain, and the division by playing our politics right, and by ignoring that invisible hand or invisible hands that is pushing things in this country that could drive us in the wrong direction. Otherwise, when we score the president for now, we give him between 4 and 5, because we must give him what he deserves. And that is that he has kept the country together. The government is functional. The country is afloat, is not sinking. For that, even without doing anything else, he scores between 4 to 5 out of 10. Merry Christmas to you Kenyans.